Hello and welcome to Coffee on the Coast. I'm your host today, Tina Prigge. I'm delighted to be joined by Matt Kadow. Matt and Carl Saraki, or as I always say, Mr. Saraki, because he's my former high school teacher. You guys have been doing this really cool segment about Manitowoc. It's like weird Manitowoc. And this is no exception. You're going to be talking about Manitowoc bites. Matt, welcome to Coffee on the Coast. It is so good to see you.
Hey, Tina, good to see you too. Thanks for having me.
So let's tell people, I'm going to put this up really quick because this cool event is happening tomorrow, Thursday, July 1st at 6 p.m. And it's going to be on the Manitowoc Public Library Facebook page. And it's called Manitowoc Bites, a weird Manitowoc food extravaganza. I think that needs an explanation. Tell us what that means, Matt.
Yeah, so those who are familiar with the show know that through the library, Carl and I have, throughout the pandemic, been putting together short and sometimes not so short episodes about oddities or things that we wonder about Manitowoc or we take for granted in Manitowoc that maybe are a little bit more off the beaten path. And it was suggested to us that maybe we should tackle some of the foods of the area as well. So we're tackling it in two parts. Tomorrow night, we'll see some of what we call the comfort foods, the more traditional foods that came from the early settlers of the area, the Eastern Europeans. And our second episode next week, or sorry, the week after, I think 2 weeks from now, will be some of the newer flavors that have come to town with more recent waves of immigration.
Cool, right. So this is going to be a two-parter. So part one is tomorrow night at 6 p.m. And then part two is going to be on Thursday, July 15th. Both of them are going to be at 6 o'clock p.m. So what is something that might be considered unique or bizarre or weird? And some people might not even realize that it's considered bizarre or unique or weird.
Yeah, one of the things that we tackle right off the bat, and it's a brief episode, but pretty common in the area, but those who are not necessarily from the area or not from coastal communities, smoked chubs we tackle. Of course, you can get those through Susie Q and other fish markets from Lake Michigan and Lake Superior. So local catches, we dive into those and the purpose of smoked fish, and why it's been such a big part of our heritage. Didn't always start off trying to impart amazing flavors in the meat, but more of a preservation thing.
I love that. So you're not only exploring, the oddities or what's unique, but also the historical information. Like there's an educational component. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of not just what it is, but why it's here and why it's still with us.
And it's interesting because some of those foods, like I noticed on your list, you listed salts. I love salts. There's a Steve's meat market that my grandma would always pick up some salts and bring it to special events. One of my favorite things. But I feel like not everyone even knows what that is. And I also feel like it's kind of fading out of vogue. Do you find that with a lot of the odd or bizarre foods?
Yeah, absolutely. One that we also, along that same line that we explore, is Trinina or duck blood soup, which we get to explore a little of Mr. Saraki's, we'll say, black market connections, in terms of being able to procure some of that for us to taste. Certainly, you hear the name and that can turn you off, and it's not false advertising. It's one of the ingredients, so we give that a try as well. But again, harder and harder to procure, but still around in those niche communities.
How interesting. I noticed too in your description, you mentioned something called cherry bounce. I have no idea what that is.
It is like so many things in this area coming from the Germanic and Eastern European cultures. But infused and fermented alcohol and spirits. So I don't want to give too much away, but it relates to vodka and letting it sit for a time, with of course a great element that we have in Northeast Wisconsin, the cherry population.
So is this like a version of Mad Dog, or?
Yeah, kind of. And depending on how you put it together, yeah, it can come with different levels of potency, to be sure.
Very cool. So for viewers that might not have previously seen these fun segments that you and Mr. Saraki do, notice you were able to just say Carl trippingly off your tongue, but I have to say Mr. Saraki, um, that you and Carl Saraki talk about. Give us an idea of how it goes down. You know, is one of you more of the research historian, or do you guys both share in that? What is
Yeah,
a segment
we
like?
certainly sharing it based on our interests. So we go, okay, what's the scope, and what are some key things that we know we definitely want to include, and we kind of see where that takes us. Sometimes we can't find anything. We have nothing but a term that I think one of our episodes when we were doing like neighborhoods, we kept hearing about a term like everybody referred to called the blacks, and we couldn't like locate down where the blacks was, right? So we just had to kind of leave that aside. So, but then based on our interests, yeah, we both kind of tackle and move down the routes that we need to, and hopefully you can't tell too much, but most of what we do is impromptu, and we just kind of wing it and have the conversation. And if it goes awry, cut that out, and
Nice.
and take the good stuff.
Hey, is Braunschweiger one of the foods that made your list?
It is not. It is not. So in this first episode, we talk a little bit about some of the things that are maybe a little less weird and a little sweeter. So we talk about kneecaps and kolaches a little bit. We don't taste any, unfortunately. We should have for our own sakes.
Wait, do you mean you haven't eaten all of these foods that you're going to talk about?
So we don't eat. We've eaten all of them. We don't eat them all during the show, but during the show we do eat some smoked chub. Carl was able to procure us both some duck blood soup as well as some cherry bounce. So those are the three things that we tackle and really dive into in this episode, and then again talking about some of those other things that kind of remind us of our common heritage in the area. The things that we remember from around grandma's table at Christmas time or whatever the holiday may be.
Yeah, right. So it's got that connection to good memories in the past. Greg Zakala said, time to search out balut. What's balut? Is that something that you guys talk about? I don't know what it is. Greg, maybe you can tell us more.
That I am not familiar with. It seems like it would be time to search that out.
Nice. And Tim just wanted to put out there that salt is a deeply disturbing food for him.
And that's saying something. Knowing Tim, it takes a bit to get him disturbed.
Cool. So you said this episode's going to be a little sweeter, and I'm going to just put up this graphic again for viewers so they know that this is happening tomorrow, Thursday, July 1st, 6 p.m. It's going to be part 1. This will be on the Manitowoc Public Library Facebook page, and then part 2 is coming up on Thursday, July 15th, 6 p.m. So give us a little preview about that.
Yeah, we're still locking down the specific foods that we're going to be tackling there. But we're going to be diving into some of our minority communities for that one. We are going to be diving into the Korean community and getting some kimchi for sure. And then also looking into the Near East and Asian communities as well for some additional flavors to add, as well as traditional Mexican.
Yum. Well, it's a good thing I ate lunch before this episode because this actually is all sounding pretty good. So let's see. Are you yourself a pretty adventurous eater, would you say, Matt? Like, are you excited to try some of these foods?
Yeah. On the whole, very much so. I was a little put off by the duck blood soup, not gonna lie, but also pleasantly surprised. Pleasantly surprised. I would definitely eat that again. So. I'm fairly adventurous as it would go. Yeah.
Cool. So viewers who want to see how you respond to duck blood soup, all they need to do is tune in tomorrow and watch Manitowoc Bites, a weird Manitowoc food extravaganza with Matt Kadow and Carl Saraki. It's Thursday, July 1st, 6 p.m. for part 1, Thursday, July 15th, 6 p.m. for part 2. It's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, it's been a fun time to put together. I think folks are going to enjoy it, especially if they've been tuning into past episodes of what we've been doing. It definitely definitely continues to track.
Oh, and by the way, here's what balut is: a fertilized bird egg.
Oh,
Wait. So what? So what does that mean? All right, Manitowoc librarians, tell us more. Why would somebody eat that? And a big shout out to the Manitowoc Public Library for hosting such cool and unique programming like this. Matt, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to be here and chatting with us. Good luck tomorrow and on the 15th.
thank you.
It's going to be awesome. It's going to be delicious. And of course, it's going to be a little weird and bizarre.
Of course.
All right. And make sure you say hi to Mr. Saraki from me.
Absolutely will do. Thank you, Tina.
All right. Take care, Matt.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.